two of us should check those chats to make sure that we will be watching for all questions. And we will begin in one more minute, I think. Is everybody ready and happy and so on?
Yes.
We're starting the YouTube live stream now. It just started.
Very good. So I think in that case, we should begin. It's 7:01. It's Erev Shavuot, and I cannot tell you how happy I am to have you all here, our dear friends from Temple Beth-El and Great Neck, and our friends from the clergy team there, Rabbis Tara and Mayor Feldman, Rabbi Eli Mulbaum and Cantor Vlad Lapin, and together along with myself and Cantor Friedlander, we're going to bring in the Chag together in our most traditional way, and that's with prayer and with joy and with learning. I also want to thank, before we go on any further, that we have two very, very special behind the scenes virtual Gabaim, that's Stuart Botwinick and his son Greg, who are keeping abreast of all the technology and making sure that we stand where we're supposed to be standing, or at least being seen where we're supposed to be seen, and understand that we are, although not in a synagogue, we are in a very, very holy space, and that we are glad that we're here tonight with you all. Just a few reminders and a few rules for the time being. I'm going to ask that everybody stop their videos. And of course, if you can, please put on your mutes so that no outside noises will come into our sanctuary. And to just be here and be with us, pray with us, learn with us. At a certain point, I will turn on, and I will ask Greg and Stuart to turn on all of the videos, and ask you, of course, to turn on all the videos a little bit later so that we can see and we can discuss, and there will be breakout rooms and so on and so forth. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Cantor Friedlander and Cantor Lapin to lead us in prayer this evening.
Those of you with candles can light them, and if not, I'll light them as we welcome the festival of Shavuot. Woo! Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של יום טוב.
Thank you, Cantor Friedlander. We continue with our Kiddush for our Shavuot festival. If you want to follow along and you have the prayer book, we're going to be on page 122. If you have the weekday and festival, Mishkan Tefillah. If you have the full Mishkan Tefillah, you're on page 386. So either page 122, page 386, or whichever siddur you're using, we're going to do the festival Kiddush. Please join with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol am v'romemanu mikol lashon v'kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava modim l'simcha chagim uzmanim l'sason et yom chag hashuvot hazeh zman Matan Toratenu Mikra Kodesh Zecher Letziat Mitzrayim Kivanu Vacharta Veotanu Kidashta Mikol Ha'amim Umoadei Kodshecha B'simcha Uvsason Hinhaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh Yisrael V'Hazmanim.
Amen.
Amen.
Ahavat Olam proclaims God's love for us, and that love is expressed in part by the giving of the Torah, which we celebrate on Shavuot. We receive Torah every day, and the Ahavat Olam is part of every evening service. And for those of you who are following in the prayer book, it's on page 150. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael. Sorry. Technical problem. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Ukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbenu Uv'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha Uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed Ki heim chayenu Ve'orech yameinu U'ahem negei yomam v'layla Negei yomam v'layla ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. אוהב עמו ישראל. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Elohim, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kavod, Malchuto, Leolam, Leolam Vaed.
The poet Langston Hughes wrote a poem called Dreams in the shadow of the 1960s civil rights movement. The poem declares, "Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-hearted, broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams go, life is a barren field, frozen with snow." In this beautiful poem, Hughes reminds us that life empty of dreams is meaningless, and that we must continue to dream and imagine, even if the end goals of which we dream seem at first unattainable. Rabbi Daniel Freelander and Cantor Jeff Klepper put this text by Langston Hughes into the chorus of a song, adding also additional texts from Israeli writer Abraham Yehoshua. Like Hughes' poem, it reminds us to keep dreaming, to continue imagining a brighter future. This poem and the way it is featured with the words by Abraham Yehoshua is featured in our weekday and festival prayer book as the alternative to Micha Mocha. And I find the words of this poem very appropriate today, as they were when they were written. And so may we continue dreaming big, may our imagination stay as creative and inspired as possible, and may we be surrounded by hope as we listen to these words. I am the bridge over my neck. The people pass from shore to shore to the happy days in store, to the happy days in store. I am the bridge, endlessly the people pass over me to the land of joy and might, and night and day, night and day, God. This is my prayer, this is my prayer. Give me strength, their weight to bear. Give me strength, their way to bear. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field, frozen with snow. Hold fast to dreams, hold fast to dreams, hold fast to dreams. hold fast to dreams.
Hashkivenu is truly a lullaby when we ask God for a peaceful sleep, that we may wake alive, that we might hear good advice in our sleep, and that we may be delivered from our enemies and other bad things. And this is our experience with God when we are most vulnerable. Ashkivenu shalom, Hamidenu lechaim, Ufrosalinu sukat shamacha, sukat shalomecha. Ushmotzetenu alfanu lechayim ulshalom me'ata ve'ad olam ufrosalenu sukat shalomecha sukat shalomecha. Give us this night time to lie in peace. May we rise to new life each day. Let there be shelter for the brokenhearted, a shelter of peace for all. And God, our going, our coming home, filled with life and peace from now and ever on. And let there be shelter for the brokenhearted, a shelter of love for all.
We'll take the next few moments for our own silent prayer.
Really
We'll take a few
silent.
moments and we will continue with Oseh Shalom after your own private reflections.
Oseh shalom bimrama,
I can't hear you.
uyaseh shalom
I can't hear anything
aleinu,
hardly.
va'al kol Yisrael
It's weird until your brother.
ve'imru. Amen.
Shavuot, of course, celebrates our revelation, receiving the Ten Commandments. And as our sages teach, we were all present at Mount Sinai in that moment, all of us, all of our loved ones, all of our grandparents, great-grandparents. And with that in our minds, we now come to the moment where we remember our loved ones who are no longer with us at this time. If you are remembering someone tonight, I invite you to share their names with us before we recite the Mourner's Kaddish. And you can say their names. If you want, you can write it in chat. You can say it silently. And this is an opportunity for us to really support you and support each other as we remember.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I got the dude again. Maybe I can get a volume again. All right. Goodbye.
May all their memories be for blessings. Please join with me, if it is your custom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach le'alam ula'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Ose shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to all humanity, to which we say, Amen.
Amen.
So one of the highlights of the celebration of Shavuot is hearing the chanting of Aseret Hadibrot, the 10 statements, better known as the 10 commandments. And in the first century, Philo of Alexandria considered the 10 commandments as the essence of the entire Torah, which elaborates in detail what the 10 commandments say in condensed form. In other words, there are scholars who feel that each of the 613 mitzvot can be summarized as one of the 10 commandments. And so here we go. Vayadaber Elohim et kol hadvarim ha'ela lemor. Anochi Adonai Elohecha asher hotzeticha ve'eretz Mitzrayim mibeit avadim lo yihye lecha Elohim acherim al panai lo ta'aseh lecha fesel v'chol temunah Asher b'shamayim imal v'asher ba'aretz mitachat v'asher b'mayim mitachat la'aretz lo tishtachaveh lahem v'lo ta'avdeim ki anochi Adonai Elohecha Elkanah Poked avon avot abanim al shileshim va'al ribeim lesonai va'oseh chesed la'alafim la'ohavai ulshomrei mitzvotai lo tisa et shem Adonai Elohecha lashav ki lo yenakeh Adonai et asher yisa et shemo lashav zachor et yom hashabat lekadsho sheshet yamim ta'avod va'asit kol melachtecha ve'yom hashvi'i Shabbat l'Adonai Elohecha Lo ta'aseh melacha ata uvincha uvitecha abdecha va'amatcha uvhemtecha v'gercha asher bish'arecha ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz et hayam ve'et kol asher bam vayanach vayom hashvi'i al kein berach Adonai et Yom HaShabbat vayikadeshehu. Habed et avicha ve'et imecha lema'an ya'arichun yamecha al ha'adama asher Adonai Elohecha noten lach lo tirtzach lo tin'af lo tignov lo ta'anev re'acha et shaker lo tachmod beit re'echa lo tachmod eshet re'echa va'avdo va'amato v'shoro v'chamoro v'chol asher l're'echa.
Ugh.
Yishar Kochech. Thank you very much, Cantor Friedlander, for chanting the Aserta Dibrot, the words that lead us, the words that bring us to this point in the evening, and the words that are so important to us. This evening, and I thank you in advance for you all being here. This evening is a moment in time that we spend all year preparing for. It's Man Matan Toratenu, the time of giving of the law of our Torah, and it's important to understand the depth of this moment, the gravitas of this moment. And we chose the theme Standing at the Mountains, Sinai or Corona, and it's a time of stress for our people, not only for the Jewish people, but for many people, for all across the board. We need this revelation more now than ever before. And so we're going to see how we interact with the law, with the Dibrot, with the words, with the statements. In reality, what we have are, and what our commentators tell us are 10 words, Dibrot. And what do they actually mean? Now they seem simple, but of course, nothing here is really, really simple. There's an old saying that if you have one watch, you know what time it is. But the moment that you have two watches, there's always a question. And these changes are the same in Torah. In Torah, we have two Aseret HaDibrot. We have one in Shmot in the book of Exodus, and then another in the book of Dvarim in Deuteronomy. And they are different. Slight differences, but very, very important differences. And they both speak to one thing. They both speak to the vision of how we see it, the lens that we look through each time we see these words, each time we see these statements. So tonight, I am so excited to be with my amazing, amazing colleagues, Rabbi Tara Feldman, Rabbi Meir Feldman, and Rabbi Eli Malbaum. And tonight, we're all going to learn together. We'll learn from you, and hopefully you may take one or two things away from us. But we are so glad that you're here. And without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Rabbi Tara Feldman to take us up to the Har Sinai or Har Corona.
Hi, everyone. So just as we lead into the discussion, I've been thinking a lot these days about the connection between the wilderness and where we are now. So Torah is given in the Midbar, in the wilderness. We've entered Bamidbar, this book of Torah, and we are in a kind of wilderness time now as a Jewish community, as a nation, as a global community. But as we know, the Midbar is the place that was chosen for us to receive Torah. There's stuff that can happen in the Midbar that can't happen anywhere else. So as I'm thinking about wilderness time and Corona quarantine time, some of the commonalities, I'll read you my little list. You know, the time in the wilderness was a time when we were building community. In some ways, it was a time of intense unity. And there is a sense of unity. Just the fact that we're here together tonight, that hasn't happened before. You know, we're drawn together in virtual space. We're reaching out. We're feeling this gratitude to our first responders and so many more. There's a unity to this time, and yet we're also isolated. And that time standing at Mount Sinai and in the entire journey in the wilderness, we were together, and we also stood alone and had to face our fears. Mount Sinai was a time of cacophonous sound, we are told, and maybe sublime silence. And so I feel like in a way, my days are so quiet, and in a way they're so full of sounds and thoughts and input. We are in the realm of the not familiar now. Nothing is really known. We're all beginners, not only in Zoom. We're beginning. That is the gift of the wilderness. We all are kind of starting from square one. Our vulnerability is more evident, our ego cast aside. Sinai and our wilderness experience gave us a sharp awareness of nature and our smallness in the order of creation. And I think our interface with Corona does that as well. We are brought to our essential selves in the wilderness, to our essence. You can't travel with too much in the wilderness. And for me, at least, this time of Corona has been a time of, again, reflecting about what actually really matters, what's essential. We're down to our family units, our health, our community. So as we stand at Mount Corona, we are going to be thinking about this difficult but sacred time. And we're going to, as rabbis, just walk through an overview of the 10 Commandments that were just beautifully chanted, and just be touching on how each one could be relevant to this moment. Then we're going to be going into breakout rooms, and we'll be considering what commandment for you is emerging at this time. Which of these 10 utterances really resonates with a kind of truth that perhaps you didn't see 6 months ago? So, but before we go into the breakout spaces, we want you to kind of get the overview again and get the juices flowing about how each of these 10 commandments might be relevant to this moment. Maybe your brain immediately can make those connections, or maybe it seems a little harder. So we're just gonna prime the pump, beginning with Rabbi Bloom. So the first three, I think you'll lead us through.
Thank you very, very much, Rabbi Feldman, Rabbi Tara Feldman. What a time. The Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 statements, are actually a whole bunch of rules that we have, except for the first one. And it says, it starts with, Anochi Adonai Elohecha asher hotzeiticha me'eretz Mitzrayim me'beit avadim. It says, I am Adonai, I am Yud-He Vav-He Elohecha, your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, the house of bondage. And I got thinking, what about the other two in there? I mean, the second one says that we shouldn't have any other gods or statues or pictures or we shouldn't have anything to do with idolatry. And the third is basically we should not take God's name in vain. Damn it. But what does that all mean? How do they interconnect? What is that first statement? And a bold statement it is. I am Adonai Elohecha. I am Adonai, your God, who took you out of the land of Egypt, out of Mibeit Avadim, out of slavery, out of the house of slavery. And I got to thinking that is an incredibly, incredibly bold statement. Now, we can believe or we don't believe And we'll talk about that a little bit later, but frankly, we have a leap of faith here. Why is this the God who took us out of the land of Egypt? Why is it not the God who created this earth, the God who made the sunshine, the God who made humans, the God who made love? Why is it God, Mibeit Avadim, who took us out of that house of slavery? Why do we have to mention Eretz Mitzrayim? And I looked at it and I said, this is a very bold statement telling us who God actually is for us. This is the God of liberation. This is the God of justice. God was here to liberate us. God was here to prove that there was so much out there and so much to give to us, and that we, in fact, are partners with God. It took us from a very, very narrow place to a place of wideness, to a place that allows us to be free and allows us to think. I also noticed that the first one is a statement as said. The others, all of them, are how we interact, not only with God, but how we interact bein adam lechavero, between man and his fellow man. But all of them speak to how we act in godly ways. I can't think of any better way to start the Aseret HaDibrot, these 10 statements. And we'll talk a little bit about belief as well. But now I'm going to ask Rabbi Tara to go on with the next 2 Dibrot.
So we're still on that first tablet, if you can picture it. And we have Zachor et Yom HaShabbat. Remember Shabbat? As I think about this Corona time, I think I know what it is to slow down. I've learned at a whole new level what it is to step out of life, to really lashevet, to really be. There's a new Torah that's emerging for me there. And I thought I kind of got that one. And then kabed et avicha ve'et imecha, honoring your parents, again, still at the very bottom of that first luach of Torah, honoring parents. I think I'm learning again in this Corona time in different ways, some challenging, some intuitive about just the essential building block that is family. We are, in some cases, we're really far from family, and that makes us feel that zachor, that or kabed, that makes us feel that honor and respect. Or maybe it's because we're really close. But I think that there's something about the familial relationship and who it is that we live with, its centrality that I'm learning or understanding in a different way. Over to Rabbi Mulbaum.
Hi, everyone. In many respects, the next 3 commandments are fairly straightforward. You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal. Lo tirtzach, lo tinaf, lo tignov. 3 simple utterances with very little ambiguity. And even today, these commandments feel as relevant as ever. First, lo tirtzach, you shall not murder. A commandment which recognizes the sanctity of human life, the obligation to see all humans as created in the divine image. Our commentator Ibn Ezra understands this commandment to mean you shall not murder with your hand or with your tongue to testify falsely to have someone killed, or in being a talebearer or to purposefully give bad counsel. Not as straightforward as we might have thought. We aren't then commanded just not to murder, but rather to be honest with what we say, to recognize all the consequences of our words and actions. Lo tinaf, next, you shall not commit adultery. Though our sages have debated what actually constitutes adultery, I have come to understand this commandment as a way to protect our sacred relationships, the relationships that we share with other people. And as an additional layer of meaning here that caught my attention, I think it's worth noting that the same word used here that means adultery, tinaf, is also occasionally used in the context of prohibited idol worship. So perhaps this commandment reminds us not only to respect our human relationships, but as well our relationship with God. And next, lo tignov, you shall not steal. This one really seems like it should be easy enough, but here too, there's a lot of interesting debate among the generations of sages. I want to bring just one little piece from our 16th century Italian scholar Sforno, who understands the commandment against stealing a little more broadly than we may have expected. He says that stealing also includes the stealing or kidnapping of human beings, and even deceiving your fellow person deliberately is called stealing, in a principle called gnevat da'at habriot, stealing people's minds or misleading them to believe that lies are truth, particularly in the case of business transactions. Deception and misrepresentation then fall under the canopy of you shall not steal. You shall not steal material objects, nor shall you be deceptive in your dealings. It's incredible how much power these 6 short words contain. Lo tirtzach, lo tinaf, lo tignov. We might understand them to mean protect your fellow human, protect your relationships, and protect your integrity. I'll send it over to Rabbi Meir.
Thank you, Rabbi Mulbaum, Tara Feldman, Rabbi Bloom, Cantor Friedlander, and Cantor Lappin. The last 2 commandments prohibit to be an aid shaker, false witness, and also tell us not to covet. And I want to share, I think, really 2 thoughts. The first thought really is, it really just occurred to me in the last several minutes about how it relates to how we're relating to the Corona period. And Leslie, Cantor Friedlander, you so beautifully chanted the 10 Commandments. And it's striking that in our tradition, actually, the 10 Commandments at one point were always preceded right before the Shema. And about 2,000 years ago, the rabbis decided, no, that's not going to be the case, because we want to inspire and encourage as much commentary and out of the box thinking as we can. And so there was this tension. Are we going to stay very focused on the language of the text, make that priority in every way? Or are we going to encourage lots of commentary? To me, that relates to this Corona time, because there is so much commentary, and we're hungry for commentary on the one hand. I mean, I don't know what we are hungry for. We're looking for wisdom and insight and how to cope and how to just put one foot in front of the next, to how to confront our fears, our losses. And we're looking for all that commentary. We're looking for more than just the hard statement. Oh, there's 100,000 deaths, not just, but 100,000 deaths. It's going up in certain states, down in others. We need that sense of insight and wisdom, and we recognize as well that it's very hard to distinguish between the wisdom that's going to enhance our lives and the commentary or chatter that in our view undermines ourselves, our families, our community, our country, maybe the world. And we all have our ways of, each of us, our own personal ways of weeding through, filtering through, so that we can pull out the wisdom, and that wisdom can help make us feel more safe, more peace, more hope. Last thing I want to say is I want to connect the last commandment, lo tachmod, don't covet, to the first commandment. I learned from Rabbi Kushner, teacher of mine and Tara's, that there is this long tradition that you need to be able to see the connection between the beginning and the end. And so Rabbi Kushner writes in his book, God Was in This Place and I Did Not Know. He says, not only are all utterances at Sinai contained in the first word, they are all of one piece, one organic unity. And so he's speaking to, I am Lord your God, as Rabbi Bloom, you pointed out, and thou shalt not covet, which is my, one of the 2 that I'm dealing with. It's all one organic unity, suggests our rabbis through the teaching of Rabbi Kushner. He says, if as many believe the first commandment is to believe, then both the first and the last are requests for an interior mental state. Lo tachmod is an interior mental state. We need to cultivate a sense of inner being where we appreciate what others have. We don't yearn for it. We don't create negativity or judgment or criticism or a sense of lacking on ourselves because we don't have something. Rabbi Kushner writes, the first utterance and the last commandment may be joined to one another because they are simply different sides of the same truth. And so my effort here, my hope here is that helping us to think about how is the beginning connected to the end? How is it one organic unity might be meaningful for us as we move into our small group conversations. It's really beautiful to be together, to share this with you all. I want to thank Cantor Friedlander and Rabbi Bloom for being so open and encouraging about our coming together. So that's my little installment.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Meir. And now we're going to ask you to turn on your videos. And this is the time. Don't turn on your microphones just yet, but please turn on your videos. And I'm going to explain to you a little bit about what we're going to be doing next. So, and it's wonderful to see everybody's face. I'm just adoring this. This is terrific. Hello, everybody. So what we're going to be doing for the next 20 some odd minutes is we're going to be in discussion mode. We're going to be learning mode. We're going to form 4 groups. We call them chevrutot, 4 groups of friends who are study buddies, as it were. And we're going to study, a little bit of text. We're going to study some thought on what these dibrot actually mean to us, and how we are in fact able to interact with these dibrot on a daily basis, especially now. So there are a few, hold on for a second. I'm going to ask a few people that are not able to turn on their videos to turn on their videos, right? This just takes a couple of moments more, and I apologize. These are the strange little things that we have to do to get everybody to be with us. Hold on for a second. My apologies. So what we will do is we will ask everybody to be part of this group. And when you're part of this group, we will ask that that you enjoy the group, and we're going to ask that one person become the spokesperson for that group. So if
We're
you
ready,
can,
Rabbi Blum. Are you ready?
no, not yet, because there are a few people that do not have their videos on, and I'm asking them to turn on their videos. So there we go. One more. Very good. So I will, Tracy Feldman, where are you there?
I'm going to have to leave.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm going to have to leave in a few minutes.
I
That's
can.
Elaine. That's Elaine. Okay, whenever you need to leave, Elaine, you can.
Yes.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask everybody to go into your chat rooms and to learn together, to talk together. And we're going to ask one person to become the spokesperson, and And now, Gabaim, is time for us to go into those chat rooms.
Howard, did you get invited to a chat room? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute right now. You're on mute right now. Are you in a chat room?
I see him in the chat room. I just see myself. I don't know.
Yeah, you're not with anybody. I'll put you in a chat room. All right, here you go. You're gonna join that. Okay. Chag Sameach, everybody at home. The chat rooms are going to be on for around 25 minutes. So in the meantime, chat rooms are private, so you could come back in 25 minutes and the service will resume.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Everybody's going to be joining us together in just a few moments. Okay. Are we all here? Oh, nice. Oh, this is wonderful. This is just amazing. I am so very, very happy to see everybody's face. So the Torah tells us, Dvarim na'aseh v'nishma. Go ahead and do, and then hear. We go ahead sometimes in a state of ani ma'amin be'emuna shalema. I believe with complete fullness. And so we have to take a little bit of a leap of faith. Rabbi Wolpe talks about that leap of faith that we take when we actually believe. And so we're going to take some time to talk about some insights that we have, our rabbis, and then, but before that, we're going to ask some of you who have been with us throughout the evening and those in the discussion groups to spend a few moments telling us what went on. There are 4 discussion groups, and we have 4 leaders. So I'm going to ask that the person that was in my group was, I think, Tracy Feldman. And if you would kind of unmute yourself and talk about what we discussed.
Okay. Well, you basically asked us to think about whether, God is optional in the Jewish religion, or if it's something that we feel like we have to, as an identity, as a people, believe in God. And I think starting that conversation, we all had such different perspectives on the relation with God. If it's necessary, if God is, all encompassing, like dealing with evil that goes on in your life, or if it's really just not a necessity for us spiritual welfare. And then we kind of just went into Corona consciousness and how our relationship with God is affected by what's going on in the world at the present moment. And there was just a lot of different perspectives as far as, God in nature and what's going on right now is evil. Is God as a personality supposed to take care of us and just be this, we're supposed to surrender to God, or is it more relational? Is it more interactive? What we do in the world affects kind of how we relate into society, and we can correct and we can help God, address Corona issues, help people, and just be out there kind of being an instrument for God and just having God within us and then going to without around us. So how does this reflect as, I guess, a power kind of struggle in the moment where God is empowering us to do things within and without, kind of. And so, yeah, there was a lot of differences, but I think at the end we kind of came to the fact that whether or not you believe in God, you still believe in good and you want to do good as part of a Jewish people and part of a community as a whole in general for the welfare of, everyone.
Thank you very much.
I hope I articulated. I'm not sure.
I think that you did beautifully. Rabbi Tara, you want to take the reins here?
I was a bad group facilitator because I didn't assign someone at the beginning, and then the session ended so fast. So I don't know, would one of the Roshan Bassanets be willing to offer up a few of the thoughts? It doesn't have to be particularly organized. I'm also happy to reflect.
Okay. Well, I'll give it a
Sorry
try.
to put you on the spot. It's only because I love you.
I think in our group there was a pretty coherent concentration on the first commandment, and that is, I am your God. And well, the second commandment too, thou shalt not have other gods before me. And that this is a time with coronavirus where basically we've been forced to shed many of our other idols and face our God and give more consideration, give really deep consideration to what really counts in our lives right now. And seem to be a pretty strong consensus that it's our family and our communities.
Yeah, and then I would add, echoing that then we can see Sinai, what we're celebrating on Shavuot, as a similar wake-up call, right? That here was a community and the heavens shook, and it was a wake-up call to the community. And that doesn't, the intent was to, it was a moment when people's other distractions were seen as just distractions, and helped people to realize what really mattered. And these distractions will be back. The question is, will we continue to appreciate the lessons that we've learned from this time?
Thank you so much. Rabbi Ellie, would someone from your group like to speak?
Well, like Rabbi Tara, we didn't designate someone in advance. I have a hunch based on the last 35 seconds of our time that it will probably be me, unless anybody from my group wants to stop me now. All right, I'll do it. We had two major themes emerge in our conversation, two commandments that I think felt particularly relevant. The first was guarding Shabbat and letting it remind us of who we are in the week and anchoring us in time. And whether it's a new connection to a Shabbat practice or a lifelong connection, just feeling that there's great power in having a time in the week that's been designated for us to help root us in what we're doing and where we are. And the other was about not coveting and about understanding why people are making certain choices, and related to a conversation about stealing, not stealing material goods, but feeling like selfish choices make an impact on a much broader, possibly global community. And so just a really fascinating conversation emerged about what we see others doing and how they might be interacting with the precautions being set by our officials around coronavirus protection and public health and safety, and willingness to comply or lack of willingness to comply, and how that might affect our relationships with other folks. So that is where we basically landed.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Acharon Chaviv, Rabbi Meir, and your group. You're muted.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, it's weird. I'm getting a message to unmute myself, but you can hear me. Lloyd, will you go? I was no better than Tara or Ellie, except I was faster on the chats and recruited Lloyd as, I hope he doesn't feel like he's the korban, the sacrifice, but he has generously and thoughtfully agreed to share our offering. Go for it, Lloyd.
Well, you're not allowed to say no to a rabbi. That's really the problem.
Seriously?
I don't know.
No, you Rabbi Blum, I can say no to. We have a very special relationship.
We do.
But rabbis in general, no. So I was not taking notes because I wasn't expecting to be summarizing this. But the most striking thing that I heard in our conversation was one of the people who I believe is a Temple Beth-El member, talked about how she needed something, and a friend or a neighbor who apparently she did not have any kind of ongoing relationship with somehow figured out that she needed this thing, whatever it was, and brought it to her. And that's, I think, one of the most startling things that's come out of this whole experience. We also did talk about the rest of the commandments, not the ones that didn't make the top 10, and how they all kind of fit under, in a hierarchy, they kind of fit under some of the top 10 what I call the top 10, God's greatest hits. How they all kind of fit under those in some way, so they work together as a pattern. But again, I think that the discussion for most people focused on community and the need to be with other people and to experience, to get from them things that I think they're not getting in the normal course of events, because this is not a normal time. It was really an interesting discussion, and I think everybody enjoyed it. I don't know that was a great summary of it, but I wasn't really prepared.
It was great.
Thank you very, very much, Lloyd. And we'll talk privately.
Yes, we will.
And now, as I said before, the Na'aseh V'Nishma, we take what we learn and we go forward with it, and then we hear it. And how does that actually work? Don't we hear it first and then do it? But in fact, we're told that we have to go out and do things. And to me, this speaks to what Rabbi David Wolpe would call your greatest leap of faith. So I'm going to ask my sweet colleagues, and I can't thank you enough for teaching with me and teaching me. You are my friends and my teachers. To spend a little bit of time and to kind of summarize your thoughts on the Aseret, Hadibrot, the standing at Sinai, standing at Corona, standing where we are right now in this place of holiness. And I'll start with Rabbi Eli, and we'll go through the list, and I'll end, and then we'll close our session. Eli?
Sure. One of these, I like, Lloyd, that you said the top 10, because I sometimes think of them like that as well. One of these that has always been very important to me, but is emerging in new meetings at this season, is the fifth of the top 10, which is Kaved et avicha v'et imecha. You should honor your parents. And I think in this time, watching our nation and our world grapple with this pandemic, I feel so troubled by some of the language around how we handle our elders and how we respect the generations that came before us or don't respect them. And I think, I don't know if it's because of my own relationship with my grandparents or because I lost grandparents before I really got to know them in some situations, and just feeling a real closeness with the chain of tradition and feeling like each generation is connected to the one that came before and the one that comes after, and so on and so forth. I'm feeling like this commandment is something we cannot afford to lose sight of. And honoring our own individual parents, sure, in many ways that might actually be more complicated because those are real relationships with real people that we know. But honoring, I think, the generations that have come before us and feeling an obligation and responsibility to cherish and protect and respect them.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Eli. And Rabbi Tara, would you like to give us your Na'aseh Nishma?
Sure. I'm just thinking about one thing that hasn't come up so much in our discussion, is this, we're at the end of this counting of the Omer period, right? And that's agricultural. We're doing the barley harvest all these last 7 weeks. And it was in an interesting sleight of hand, Talmudic sleight of hand, that our sages said, Oh, right. That moment of that like last counting of the Omer day, that's actually the same as the day when we got Torah at Sinai.
Mhm.
And so the kind of heavens, this moment of receiving the Ten Commandments is linked with the agricultural cycle, and they come together in our present observance. It's just kind of an interesting thing. I think as Jews, we're always trying to take what is esoteric or transcendent and bring it down, or to bring the earth up. And so there's really a meeting within our tradition. So that's just another way of saying Na'aseh v'nishma. How are we going to make this real? What does this really mean in terms of, my Omer, my grain offerings, what I'm going to bring to the coming year? And I think it really is what Eric already spoke about, and Chris in our group, of having perspective and being willing to let go of things that I don't really need, and how hard that is to hold up these idols and cling to them. And they may have been idols or ideas that have been brought in for good reason. But I have found myself and my beloved community and my family to be far more creative and flexible and evolving than maybe I ever thought possible. But when we're in the constriction of normal life, we don't always have those boundaries tested in that same way. So my prayer for Na'aseh v'nishma is that I can really take some leaps and get rid of old patterns that are not needed, and not underestimate my own power or the power of my community or others to change, to adapt.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Tara. And now, Rav Meir, your thoughts.
Sure. I just want to point out to everyone here that we didn't plan in advance, what commandments or how any of us would conclude this. And so it's interesting and enjoyable, rich for me to hear first from you, Rabbi Malbaum, and you, Tara, and from you, I will look forward as well, Rabbi Blum. The way I've thought about this in terms of my how I want to conclude it is just thinking, it relates to the conversation, the piece of it that we had in our breakout. What's the key commandment? The most important commandments. What's the commandment that contains all the rest and may well be the most violated commandment? I'm channeling something, Ellie, actually you said 20 or 40 minutes ago, I can't remember. And also a different teaching, Rabbi Bloom, of David Wolpe. So it's interesting how these connections happen. So I want to start off. I'm going to quickly go through these commandments and answer the question: what's the most violated, which means the most important commandment or the key one? Start with Anochi Adonai Elohecha. What's that about? That one. What's the connection between I'm Lord your God, Shabbat, and honor your mother and father? The idea is that it's actually a religious obligation, not an obligation about a certain kind of way of, secular thinking only, but it's a religious obligation to give credit where it's due. I'm Lord your God, Shabbat, honor your mother and father. They're about the religious imperative of giving credit. It's not me. It's my parents. It's the creator of all life. So that's the first category. You shall have no other gods. Don't take God's name in vain. It's similar to that, but want to add to it that when if we make graven images, take God's name in vain, it's actually a form of thievery, stealing, diminishing God's essence, and contracting it, sort of constricting it, shrink wrapping it into a little package. That's not God. Now we get to the easier ones. You shall not murder. You're not allowed to steal someone's life. You shall not commit adultery. You're prohibited from stealing someone's love. You shall not steal. Obviously, you can't take someone's property. You can't bear false witness. Steal. When you bear false witness, you're stealing someone's good name, someone's shem tov. Similar to you shall not covet your neighbor's property. You can't steal what someone else loves and cherishes. So all of these relate to, as obviously the 8th commandment, you shall not steal, but you shall not steal contains, it holds all of them. And if I'll just conclude with really how this relates again to I am Lord your God, that it's a religious imperative to acknowledge, to express our gratitude and to give credit where it's due. And I think that this Mount Corona has helped us recognize some very fundamental, essential truths in our lives, that our home is the most critical place in the world. The people who we love the most we need to find ways to appreciate them in ways that we probably took for granted during the pre-corona, where life was so fast and so intense. And so anyway, my vote is for Lo Tignov. You shall not steal.
Thank you, Rabbi Meir. And my Na'aseh V'Nishma. I have my own understanding of Torah and what it actually is. And there's a theme to Torah, and it's one theme and one theme only, and it expands, but there's only one theme, and that theme is transcendence. And very, very simply put, we want to be a better person today than we were yesterday. And how does that help us? And what does that allow us to do? It allows us to have a relationship with the transcendent, with God, and with others. And what I learned from my amazing teachers, Rabbi Tara and Rabbi Eli and Rabbi Meir this evening, was that each of us can see the Aseret HaDibrot, these 10 statements, as individual things, or something that runs, as Rabbi Meir said, that has a thread that goes directly through it. One trails after the other. The opening, the Anochi Adonai Elohecha, I am the Lord your God, Yud He Vav He, really has no vowels to it. We don't know what it means. It means that there is, or we can be, or we are. It shows us an infinite ability to have a relationship with the transcendent, with the one, with the there is. We are allowed to do that. But the rest of the Dibrot give us step-by-step ways. We honor God and that relationship by not having other relationships, by not having other relationships with other gods. There is one transcendent. One good relationship is enough.
Oh.
And what do we do with the Shabbat? That's how we honor everything that God gave us. That Shabbat, we wait and we wait it out. And we have that Shabbat that we have with Corona. We have that Shabbat that we have to wait things out, and we need it. We have to allow the land to heal. We have to allow the world to heal. We have to allow ourselves to heal at times. And then the rest. Don't steal, don't kill, don't murder, don't do any of these. You are God's partner. This is how we deliver. This is how we deliver godliness and holiness to the rest of the world, by having these relationships. Martin Buber said it correctly. That moment of God is that moment between one person and the other, and that electricity in between, the I and the thou, that is God. So when I look at the Aseret HaDibrot, Lloyd said it, they're the top 10. There are guides. There are Mora HaDerech, our guide to the road, our guide to life. And I find that the beauty is that they are completely dynamic. We can see them differently every year and through every different lens. And this year, we see it, God willing, to bring us to an end of this magefa, this plague that we are living in, through the end, through health and through happiness, and God willing, to be in one room together and to pray together and to sing together again. So before we end, I want to thank my amazing colleagues, Cantor Friedlander and Cantor Lapin. Your davening and your prayers were inspiring and moving. My rabbinic fellows, my colleagues, my dear friends and teachers, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Eli, and Rabbi Tara, your words of Torah were like lights this evening, and I want to continue to learn from you. And you all, so I'm going to choose to see everybody on here before we do our closing prayer, which is one of my favorite. It is Biado of Chidruchi. This is the essence of Ani ma'amim be'emuna shlema. I put myself in your hands, Adonai. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what will happen in my life, but I know that when I need to cry out, I will cry out, and someone will be there to catch me. So before we end, just one bracha for all of these beautiful faces on Zoom. It's a bracha by Reb Alden Salavi, who is just a wonderful poet and liturgist. He says, so many beautiful faces, so many radiant souls shining forth into our hearts. Look into those eyes, the smiles, the hopes, the fears, the yearning, the questioning, the compassion and the love. Take it in. Take it all in. The tenderness, the humanity, the blessing of faces arrayed before you, the blessing of faces given and received. Cantor Lapin, please lead us.
He's muted.
Cantor Lapin, you're muted.
There we go. Got it. Be'adov kidruchi be'eit ishan ve'hayra ve'im ruchi geviati Adonai li v'lo ira ve'im ruchi geviati Adonai li v'lo ira be'yadov kidruchi be'eit ishan ve'hayra ve'im ruchi geviati Adonai li v'lo ira ve'im ruchi geviati Adonai li v'lo ira. My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Hold me in your hand. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Safely
your hand. Beyado af kidruchi, be'eit ishan ve'haira, ve'him ruchi yeviati, Adonai li v'lo ira, ve'him ruchi geviati, Adonai li v'lo ira.
Yishar Kochechem, may the light of Torah guide your ways, guide your nights and your days. May you be blessed with a Sukkot Shalom, a canopy of peace. And I look forward to seeing everybody at Tfilot tomorrow and tomorrow evening and Shabbat to learn with you again. And thank you again, my amazing colleagues. And of course, Stuart Botwinick and his son Greg for being our electronic Gabaim. Take a look for just one more minute. Look at all of these beautiful faces and Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.